Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, colleagues. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Rules, Policy, and Industrial Relations Committee of January 25, 2024. It's 11:01. Madam Secretary, can you please call the roll?
Thank you. We'll start with the committee. Director Conroy is absent. Garbarino is absent. Groswell is absent. Hill.
Here.
Parr.
Present.
Beer is absent. Vice Chair Moulton Peters.
Here.
Thank you. Chair Hernandez.
Here.
And President Cochran.
Here.
We are still a committee. We are not a committee whole, but we do have 9 members in the room. We also have directors Giudice, Maston, Rabbit, and Rodoni. Again, General Manager Dennis Mulligan is not here, so Kelly Hopper is sitting in as acting general manager. Joe Wires in the back. Amy Bauer-Furbish is also in the back. We have Kim Manolius. We have Dave Rivera, bridge manager. Mike Hoffman, ferry manager. And Les Felton is our bus manager over there in the corner. Thank you. That's everyone there.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Do we need to take any action to create a committee for all?
No, we are a committee of the
I'm
whole.
sorry.
Yes. So, but if you can invite everyone to join your committee.
Okay. I'd like to invite everyone to join the committee today.
Guys, actually, they can comment on
Are there
it.
cards for that?
Please feel free to comment.
That's right.
Thank you very much. So moving on to the agenda, item number 3, that is to approve actions relative to the Compliance and Employee Relations Unit in the Administration and Development Division. And Kelly Hopper is going to present that item to us today. Thank you, Kelly. Please go ahead.
Good morning. I'll first talk about what the recommendation is, and then I'll just kind of explain to you a little bit about this work unit so you have a better sense of what they do. We are recommending the establishment of an EEO Compliance and Workforce Inclusion Department. It was previously called Employee Relations and Compliance Programs, so we're asking for a new department name. We're asking that the manager of that unit, who was manager of EEO and compliance, be retitled and reclassified to Director of EEO and Workforce Inclusion. Retitle and reclassify our DBE Administrator to a Manager of DBE and Workforce Inclusion. Retitle and reclassify our Leaves Analyst to an Administrator, Leaves of Absence. And then to add one Senior Analyst position that would be titled Senior Analyst EEO/DBE position, and then adjust the table of organization accordingly. This work unit has been tasked with this, as their title says, is a lot of our employee relations and our regulatory compliance programs as it relates to employees. This includes things like our protected leave programs in the organization, the district's DBE program, the regulatory EEO activities, and work that's assigned as part of that effort. And then a variety of employee relation items. Susan Spencer, who you see on a number of times here, is involved with investigation and discipline from a process of fairness and equity in the organization. She's the one that leads a lot of those activities for the district and works in close contact with Dennis in terms of matters of terminations. As you can imagine, this work in these units have grown exponentially over the recent years. There's been new DBE rules. We've coming through a pandemic, so there was a variety of changes to the protected leave programs and leave programs in general. And then there's just been overall an increased focus on workforce inclusion and DEI. And this really is, a lot of it stems from the board's Diversity and Equity Advisory Committee. There was a lot of efforts during the course of and delivery of information with that committee, additional direction for us as an agency where we wanted to move forward. A couple years ago, this board actually approved to become a signatory to HAPTA's racial equity program. And we were one of several agencies throughout the nation, but that came with 5 principles, and it came with an additional workload. Things like climate assessment, cultural climate assessment work, gathering of data, looking at procedures and policies, not just in the employee related, but things like procurement, other activities, just the activities of an organization. So that a lot of that work has been spearheaded by Susan and her team, or at least in conjunction with Susan and her team. So they already had a full workload, as you can imagine. And then there's been all of this additional work. And so for that reason, we do believe that this recommendation is necessary for a new alignment. one of the questions was, why do we have a senior analyst? That person will be there to provide backup to support to the manager of DBE and workforce inclusion, be able to provide backup support to the director position, and then also to the leads. And it really provides, and again, this is a phrase that we heard a lot from this board's advisory committee on diversity, was ladders of opportunity in this organization. This is another ladders of opportunity role, position. And so I'm actually quite proud that this is being recommended at this level. It allows some breadth for people to move from maybe an analyst or a clerical role into more progressively responsible role. I will just touch on a couple things. I've talked about the racial equity and the assessments and updating policies. Also is a lot of the work that we're doing now. You probably have seen it as a board where we're trying to be more inclusive. Newsletters, recognitions, cultural awareness recognitions in the organization for various events. Also, the DBE on the DBE side there, and Tina has come to you on a number of occasions, is the new collections of data as a result of the rulemaking that transpired, I believe, in the middle of 2022. So there's some additional work there. So in recognition of that, I am actually honored to bring this item to you, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have about this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Colleagues, with questions or comments, I see Georgia Master. Please go ahead.
I don't know if you addressed this directly, it didn't seem like it, but who's currently doing the senior analyst?
That is so right now the work is just being spread out between the existing staff.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Jeff Rabbit?
You know, I appreciate that. And kind of in light of the question that you posed in the last, is this something that we would look for in our county? We have a new department called the Office of Equity that looks at many different things that we're doing, including a racial analysis of different policies and whatnot. But one of the big things is a communications plan, both outreach and translation services, and how that works. Is that what would be also undertaken by this group, or is it more on the procurement regulatory side?
So in our market, the district has an ELP program or an outreach program where our marketing people follow that, and our communications folks, they follow that plan. So it doesn't necessarily look at it in that way, but it does look at it in a way of making sure that we have a lens of equity as it relates to recruitment and outreach for these populations. So they would work closely with HR in that respect.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from colleagues? Okay, I have a few thoughts. As the chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, I've had the privilege to be able to speak with Susan and speak with Tina, and folks on that committee have all heard about their workload. Every time either of those individuals, Susan Spencer, who is the manager of our compliance programs currently, and then Tina, our DBE program administrator, anytime those two come here and speak to us, we're all amazed at the volume of work that they have, the volume of work product that they deliver. And it's been repeatedly said that there's concerns about the level of resources that they have to work with, given as what Kelly presented is a huge volume of additional work. So in reading this item, I had some specific concerns about the fact that there was only one additional staff person, the senior analyst, to be dedicated under this recommendation, whose responsibility would be to assist all three of the existing staff, the leads analyst, the DBE program administrator, the manager of EEO compliance program. So I would like to propose an amendment to the recommendation, only to specifically address future needs, possible needs, and to ask that there be a formal report presented to this committee on some regular basis, 3 months or so, just giving us an idea as to how the one senior analyst is doing to support those 3 other staff folks, with with the idea that we could then consider, if necessary, supplementing the resources to those folks. I'm excited that these three existing staff folks are receiving the recommendation for these reclassifications, and that they will have some of the support. But my concern is that one individual supporting those three existing staff members may not be adequate. So just want to keep a better tab on that. So I would like to make a motion to approve the recommendation with the modification that there will be regular reporting, say on a 3-month basis, as to the aspect of the additional staff, the senior analyst position. And I'd like to make that motion. And may I have a second, please? Is there someone who would like to second that?
Second that motion, all in favor?
Thank you very much. So on the amendment, I'll call a vote, and then we will have a second vote then on the new action. So this is a vote I would like to take on the amendment. There's a question, yes?
Yeah, just for clarity though, I heard you say check in on 3 month. I'm fine with the check in. I'm just wondering how often it is indefinite. I do believe that we need to check in and make sure everyone has adequate resources, and I'm sure there's going to be occasions when that takes place. So I just wanted a little clarification on that.
No, that's a good point, and I hadn't thought about that. But at least, I would say for at least a year. I would say for at least a year,
On a quarterly basis?
on a quarterly basis.
Just want to make sure everyone's clear what's before them.
Yeah, so actually, yes, any questions on the amendment, Okay, so we can move forward with a vote. All those in favor of adopting the amendment?
Aye.
Okay, is there anyone opposed to adopting the amendment? Okay, seeing none, the amendment is adopted. Now we're going to vote on the full motion, the full amended motion. Yes, Director Park.
Thank you. I always appreciate it when people come in with reclassifications. I think we tend to, as an organization, just keep going and keep putting more work on the same people. So I agree with this. I guess my question is there any sort of comparability or class study done to make sure that the salaries that we're recommending are comparable?
Yes, and in fact, we did a compensation study in November. These are new positions because they're new classified, but they are in alignment, in general alignment with market competitors, and certainly in alignment with the district's compensation structure for those type of positions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director Park.
With that,
President Cox.
and on page, page 7, the study results, is that, you got it like on the first one, you got 5.8%. Now what does that mean?
So that was prior, the study, that the results that were done of the previous position with the additional work. Because when we do compensation, we base it off of job descriptions. These job descriptions have changed with added work. So we will be bringing an item next month to the board. If you remember in November when we brought the item, you guys asked for us to talk about compensation policy. And so we'll be bringing some items to you. But in the compensation report, the 5.8, that position for a manager EEO from our competitor or competing agencies or partner agencies, we were at market. We're 5.8% above market. The DB administrator position was at 1.5%. We acknowledge that this work is new and different, significantly new and different, and supports the increase in salaries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director Cochran. Any other questions or comments on the amended motion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to a vote on the amended motion. The amended motion again being accepting the recommendation as far as the reclassification, but adding the reporting requirements quarterly for a period of no less than 1 year. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Is everyone clear on what they're voting on?
I think Director Wilton Peters needs to agree to, because you seconded the motion, making sure that just procedurally that you're okay with those changes, because there were some changes made after Director Rabbit said what were the time frame.
Okay.
I believe that the amendment was moved, seconded, and we voted on the amendment. So now we're moving forward with the final motion, the final amended motion.
Right.
Thank you. So, Madam Secretary, can we please have a roll call vote on the amended motion?
We need a motion first on
We
the
have a
amended motion?
I
Yeah,
believe we have a motion and a second.
on the,
We have a motion and a second on the amended motion.
On the amended
So
motion.
now we need a vote on the amended motion.
who was first and second on the amended motion on that one?
The amended motion.
Because we
was-
had the amendment, we voted out, we had a motion on the amendment, which was
We're
yourself.
voting on the amended motion now.
Yeah.
The first was Director Mulder Peters on the amendment.
I will move that.
Okay. Got it.
I'm not sure who the second was.
Second, there we go. Okay. Thank you. Now we have first and second. There we go. Okay. So we have Director Conroy is absent, Garbarino is absent, Girlsville is absent, Hill.
So let's restate.
Oh, you want to restate the whole thing?
Do you want to take public comment?
Oh, that's right. Sorry. We have an amended motion. Sorry about that. That's right. We have public comment. Hey, hang on a second. So we're going to take public comment, but we don't have anyone in the room. If we want to do that, we need to poll Justine again. Justine, why don't you poll everyone on the amended motion? Since I don't see that there's any new callers, but just in case somebody wants to comment, why don't you go ahead and poll the public?
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. Is there anybody that's joined us that would like to speak this morning on this item? Please use ** to unmute yourself and let me know. This is for the amendment to this item. Again, if you'd like to speak, ** to unmute yourself. Okay, I'm not hearing anybody. Thank you.
Thanks for confirming that. So we have no speakers in the room and we have no speakers online. All right, so that takes care of the public comment. So I'm going to go back to the roll call vote that we were in the middle of. It had gone through. Director Groswell's absent. Director Hill.
Yes.
Director Parr.
Yes.
Director Thier is absent. Vice Chair Moulton Peters.
Yes.
Chair Hernandez.
Aye.
And President Cochran.
Yes.
We also have our pro tem committee members, Director Giudice,
Yes.
Director Maston,
Aye.
Director Rabbit,
Aye.
and Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Thank you. You have a unanimous vote.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Kelly, very much for your time in allowing me to discuss this with you. Thank you. The next item is agenda item number 4, which is to approve actions relative to the table of organization in the Ferry Division. And I'd like to welcome Matt Hoffman to the table to help us with this item, our Deputy General Manager for the Ferry Division. Good morning.
Good morning. And thank you, Chair Hernandez. Good morning, members of the committee. The item before you is to approve changes to the Ferry Division table of organization, authorizing the addition of 4 positions, and eliminating 1 position which is currently unfilled. The fiscal impact of these proposed changes is estimated to be $678,752, which includes employee benefits. The justification for these changes is outlined for you on pages 2 and 3 of the staff report, and I'll summarize for you. Should the board approve these actions, the positions to be added and the 1 position to be eliminated. Ferry Division would like to establish a vessel operation standard that will provide vessel operations enhanced focus on regulatory changes, vessel compliance, best practices, and safe vessel operations. This position will facilitate stronger interdepartmental communication within the Ferry Division and directly support vessel masters and deckhands. The current organizational structure as seen in attachment B has the vessel masters and deckhands reporting to a supervising vessel master. In this proposed change, and on page 2 of the same attachment, the vessel masters and deckhands report directly to a vessel operations manager, a non-representative employee who has the authority under the Director of Operations to better support the needs of the vessel operations and provide direct support to our frontline employees on board our ferry vessels. The action also establishes a maritime program manager. The addition of this position is largely in response to pending regulatory action requiring operators of small passenger vessels to have a safety management system. But it also addresses the need for a robust training program. We currently have training metrics and sign-offs in place, and however, there's a shortfall with respect to an overarching program that addresses the different vessels that we operate and the various terminals that we serve. Future vessels that are currently designed will require even our most tenured captains to revisit the training program on how we operate new ferry vessel systems, and functionality of the newer building what have you on our new ferries. The ferry division has been developing and has implemented a safety management system. This is a project that never ends and requires continual management. All documents in a standard SMS are living documents that are revised and revisited based on employee feedback, operational changes, and regulatory changes. It is appropriate that a management level employee oversee and manage the continued improvement of the ferry division safety management system and develop and implement a robust training program. Moving on, the action approves the addition of a ferry operations specialist. We're in a new landscape today with access to more data than we've ever had. A perfect example is the future implementation of Clipper 2.0, which will provide better data on the trends of our customers. Ferry division needs an employee to process this available data and develop reports that will assist management in making sound and supportive business decisions. The specialist position will report directly to the director of ferry operations and will improve current processes, including scheduling and crewing. We are in a new landscape with respect to ridership in this post-pandemic space. Position will track ridership trends, propose data that will support ferry division by scheduling current service and building future services that best meets the demands of our current customers and seeks to attract new customers. The fourth position to be added through this action is a ferry maintenance planner. In addition to this position, will allow the ferry division to take a more proactive approach to maintenance planning and result in better vessel uptime and reliability. As highlighted in the staff report, maintenance needs of an asset is at its highest in its infancy and as it approaches the end of its life. The current fleet is approaching or has already reached its useful life benchmark set by the Federal Transit Administration. The maintenance needs of today's fleet will more effectively be addressed by having a maintenance planner who will work with operations, schedule vessel downtime for planned maintenance, react to and schedule unplanned maintenance, and support mechanics by having parts and tooling on hand in preparation for large-scale maintenance tasks. The maintenance planner will support the maintenance needs of our future fleet by working directly in the district's enterprise asset management software system to build out the required preventive maintenance tasks and recognize trends to implement condition-based maintenance tasks. Preventive maintenance, clerical items are actually requirements of organizations who manage Federal Transit Administration funded assets. So we're required to have the documentation in place for the maintenance of all our vessels that are federally funded. And at this position, we report directly to the ferry maintenance manager. Lastly, we're recommending the elimination of the ferry project administrator position. Again, this is a position that's currently unfilled. As discussed, it is a non-representative position. And as discussed with the life cycle manager of the district states, we have a greater need for a ferry maintenance planner than we do for this unfilled position. Fiscal impact of the proposed changes is estimated to be, mentioned it earlier in my presentation, $678,752. This does include salary and employee benefits. The services provided by the district's ferry division today exceed what we actually provided pre-pandemic. During the pandemic, the ferry division entered into an agreement with the California State Park to provide service to and from San Francisco and Angel Island. Also, during the pandemic, the district leveraged a landing lease agreement and contract with the Port of San Francisco to land more services at Gate B in San Francisco. So this provides a better experience to our passengers who have bikes out of Sausalito, Tiburon, and take bikes to Angel Island, where they can offload and onload main deck with the bicycles. So, with the addition of these new services, we do have actually a greater administrative need than we did pre-pandemic. We're in a space today where, ferries in its infancy of massive changes. We're going to go through a COG compliance program that's going to see a brand new fleet of vessels come to the ferry division. We have a COG compliance program that is in development that we're going to submit to CARB in the very near future that outlines the compliance plan with all of our fleet. Every vessel is going to be replaced. In the future, we're going to have terminals that have main deck loading and offloading. We'll start with a project in Sausalito for the float. Following that will be San Francisco Ferry Terminal, and then following San Francisco Ferry Terminal will be Larkspur. So we're at really the infancy of all these changes. We expect we have more regulatory requirements today than we've had in the past, and these changes are necessary to support the ferry division going forward and addressing both the regulatory changes and the different landscape that we see today in this post-pandemic space. With that, I'll conclude the presentation and I'll answer any questions of the committee.
Thank you very much. I see Director Hill.
I'm glad you reading through here. What are we going to do with all these big changes that we're going to be making over the next few years and everything? It sounds like you've incorporated those duties within existing maintenance and support. But I wonder if you need someone who's strategic in helping plan this stuff for the future. Do you have, will this cover that with this increases in salaries, but it's actually a big scope coming in? Are you satisfied you've got enough for that?
With the ferry operations specialist that we're proposing in this reorg, as well as the collaboration that we have with the planning department at the district, I am confident that we'll have the resources we need going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Maston.
In the future, I think it would be cleaner and clearer charts like the one on page 14 to show the benefits as well, total cost. It's in the narrative, but it's not there. Page 6 in the previous item, combining them all so you see the total cost. But otherwise,
Yeah, thank you.
I agree with you that this will fit in the thing.
Dr. Rodoni.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Mark, for the presentation. I'm just curious, as you see adding these positions over time, it's kind of been, I think, our policy, we would want the demand to be first before we make these changes, at least on the west side of the division. So I'm just wondering if you see these as coming on over time. I guess the real question is, does current demand need all these positions now, or is that the future demand?
Yes, is the current demand. So I would, if the board were to approve this action, we would post these positions in the coming months. Right now, we're at 38 trips per day at Larkspur. Pre-pandemic, we're capped environmentally at 42. The services, the amount of passengers on our ferry vessel don't directly relate to the management responsibilities of maintaining 3 to 7 ferry vessels and regulatory requirements for that fleet. And like I said, we provide more service today than we did pre-pandemic. We have we have the current compliance requirements that fall upon us, kind of the changing regulatory landscape with the safety management system, and really we've had a deficit with training, and we need to shore up our training program.
Thank you.
Director Carr.
Thank you. Are these positions seen as ladder positions? In other words, are current employees qualified, or are you expecting them to apply for any of these management positions?
I would say, based on experience of some current Ferry Division employees, there would be some that would be qualified to apply for, based on qualifications for the positions that we have here in this table.
Thank you.
Dr. Robert?
Well, thank you so much for the explanation, because I'll be honest, my in light of the previous item and being chair of finance and being perhaps a cheapskate, my initial inclination is, why are we hiring and adding to staff at a time of deficit and adding to that deficit? But I appreciate at the same time acknowledging that we don't stay abreast of the changes that are coming in the regulatory environment, as you, I think, very succinctly put, the need to go down that we cannot continue to offer the services or grow those services and get out of the predicament that we're in. But I just want to make sure we make the note that it's an investment for sure, and it invents when you don't have as much money as you had in times where you're flush. Just always make you think twice. So appreciate your explanations.
Any other questions or comments from directors? President Cochran.
I appreciate the presentation, Mike. Is there anything saying that you couldn't wait until next fiscal year to start that process?
No, we could wait till next fiscal year. I would like to move forward with it as soon as possible. But the next fiscal year is in just a few months, so we could do that.
We're in the process of doing a whole increase, and in turn adding $1 million in salaries to our ferry division. And I have questions in my own mind. Why are we mixing the two at that time. So it'd be better to wait, I would think. But anyway.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll just say thank you very much for the report. As other colleagues around the table have mentioned, this is very thorough. We really appreciate all the explanations, your thorough description, the job scopes for each of the employees that, each of the new titles that you're proposing here. And I just want to say thank you much, especially for the training component. Training is so important to take care of our employees and the public. That is really critical, saves lives. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So let's move on to public comment, Madam Secretary. Do we have anyone from the public who'd like to speak on this issue?
We have no speakers in the room, and we have no one who's joined us new on the line and would like to speak. So I think we're fine there.
Thank you very much. It's now time to entertain a motion. I see Director Hill has made a motion. Is there a second on this item? Is there a second on the item?
I would move a second, but referring to Jerry's comments, if we made this effective beginning of the new fiscal year as opposed to today.
So that would be
An amendment.
amendment to the motion.
Yeah, so Director Hill, you would have to approve of the amendment.
I will adjust my approval. How much will you be affected by a few months, essentially? Would it?
Yeah, so
But what is the
I mean,
most?
recruitment takes time, right? So, if we were to start the recruitment as soon as the action was approved, we probably wouldn't fill positions for at least 2 months. So really, if we waited a couple additional months, it's not that big of a hit for the ferry division. We would like to be able to start that recruitment in advance of the new fiscal year and not hire until the new fiscal season. That's something that,
Thank you for that.
That's, so we'll make it.
Be okay.
So I'd like maybe Joe to chime in. Joe, you look like you might like to make a few comments. See your neck up there.
Joe, because
We
Yeah.
have the window open back there for circulation, so I can barely hear sometimes. So
Right.
if you could rephrase the question, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay. So we're at the point right now where we're contemplating an amendment to the recommendation, an amendment to delay action on the recommendation until the new fiscal year. So do you have any comments that you'd like to make? Can you shed any light on whether that would be compromising to the district from a financial standpoint, or whether you have an idea that would compromise our ability to achieve our goals in terms of the toll? Can you just give us some general feedback?
So the amendment would be to,
delay.
okay. So the district's hiring process, as your staff told you, is difficult these days. I mean, it's difficult, in other words, for you to go through the process. So there will be inherently, as was discussed, a delay. It's not a board instruction, but it's get the reality of putting things together. It will take months, and to fill them all, I would be very impressed if it happened within 8 months. The second thing I would say is that the district process for hiring, probably 15 years ago, we set up a process where all hiring decisions go through Kelly and myself and Dennis before they have to get signed off before they can start the recruitment process. And this is until the board approves it, so you still have to go through that same process. So your staff has the ability, if the suggestion, you can either make an amendment or you can suggest it to your general manager to say, we'd like to see this. We want you to think about this before you order. We want you to slow this down. We can do that. It won't just happen automatically. In other words, we have the opportunity to wait, to slow it down. So if that's the guidance, it's your board's pleasure. You can either do it officially or you can do it unofficially and just tell us, hey, we'd really like you to wait on this over approving.
Thank you. So I'll take one more comment, and then I'd like to go back to the maker of the motion to see if you would like to continue with having the feedback that you just received. Director Park.
Thank you. I'd like just a little clarification, especially maybe from President Cochran. My understanding is that the reason that we would put out to the 1st of July and actually say we can't hire until the 1st of July is because we're going out and asking the public for a total increase.
Yes.
And to bring in $600,000 for positions that we haven't had before. Plus, we just approved another 150, I don't have the number here, in the administrative department. Sometimes the optics of that aren't in our favor. And it's not that we don't approve of those, but we do have a constituency that looks at that. So that, I just want to clarify that that's what the thinking was. I don't want to get that mixed up.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Director Judici.
Thank you, thank you, I appreciate it. So just a point of clarity, if I'm looking at the proposed org chart on page 18, just staff's assessment as to what is the most important position there. I'm assuming it would be the vessel operations manager.
Yeah, that's a good question. If I were to prioritize the positions, is that what you're asking me to do?
Correct.
Prioritize the vessel ops manager being the first one I'd fill if I had to do it in order,
Right.
followed by the maritime manager.
Okay, and then I note that you have a vacancy of a ferry project administrator, and that's already incorporated into the budget.
That's the the fiscal impact on the staff report.
And with vessels operation, to be taking on any of the ferry project administrator's positions duties?
No.
Okay, so it'll be 148,000 out of the chute. But we still have the savings from the vacant ferry project administrator.
Thank you. I'd like to return to the maker of the motion, Director Maskin.
I'd be willing to, withdraw my motion in favor of, slowing things down to not hire before the beginning of the new fiscal year. And it sounds like that's probably what's going to happen anyway.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So why don't we clear the table, so to speak?
That's right. That's right. Clear the table.
Withdraw your motion, second withdraw, just start again.
Yes.
All right. So on the original motion,
We have Director Evans.
Director Evans.
One last quick question, because I know this happens in our county quite often. Is there, because there's vacancy within the division, or any fund, salary fund savings that can be dipped into in the interim that uses existing budgeted dollars going forward and kind of get started and come back and redo the org chart in total later?
Taking from a financial standpoint, he has an open position in ferry already. They could start hiring one of these, and it would just be, would be break even. Because, yes, you're exactly right. So one of them could get rolling. That's something that if the board's pleasure is to talk to the general manager and say, hey, I don't mind you hire that one, you get that rolling, and just wait on those other two. I think that's something he would probably agree to.
All right, any last comments? All right, so colleagues, I just want to say thank you very much for your thoughtful discussion. This motion will move forward, we'll move forward for a vote then, as it is presented, with the informal arrangement that there will be discussions between staff about how to implement this with regard to timing. And so, so is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Motion.
Thank you, Director Hill.
So I move.
Thank you very much. There's a first, may I have a second, or a second on this item? Thank you, Director Maskin. There's a first and a second on this item. We don't need to, public comment is good, right?
Yeah, we're good on public. We have no speakers in the room and no new callers on the line.
Okay, so, Madam Chair, may I have a roll call on this item?
Sure, thank you. We're voting on item number 4, starting with Director Conroy is absent, Garbarino is absent, Crosbo is absent, Hill,
Yes.
Parr,
Yes.
thank you. Fear is absent, Vice Chair Moulton Peters,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Aye.
President Green,
Yes.
And we're going to go to the appointed members of Director Giudice.
Aye.
Maston.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
And Rodoni.
Aye.
Thank you. Your vote's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you much. This is the point in the agenda where I have to make sure that there are no additional public comments additional comments from the public. Madam Secretary, can you please check?
Thank you.
For one last
Justine,
time, the lines.
would you like to check your line one last time to see if there's any public comment since we started the meeting?
Certainly. Does anybody else who has public comment for this meeting? This is for the rules meeting. Please use ** to unmute yourself and let me know. No, I'm not hearing anybody. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no public comments.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, there's no more business to come before this committee. May I have a motion to adjourn, please? Thank you. Moved and seconded. Is there anyone in opposition to adjourning? Seeing none. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sabrina.
This committee.
Thank you. 11:41.